Govinda, Govinda. It looks like I'm with the family. Jai. Dandavats, dear devotees. Our family of devotees with Nazam, Anutama, and all right, dear devotees, and let's begin with an auspicious invocation. And then I understand you have some questions, and let's see if I have any answers. So there is simultaneous translation, is that correct? Okay, I'll select English. All right, it's good to know. So we have simultaneous translation. So Sadhvi Tungarasa, those of us who need it, we better select English. Banchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagraratam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitan Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Param Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. And we already gave obeisances to the devotees, but we can give obeisances again and again, especially when some devotees have arrived in the meantime. Banchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Govinda Govinda. Okay, I am here to serve. I'm told I'm going to be given a barrage of questions, so fire away.
Yes, Maharaj, and today Narayani asked me to help, like to moderate a little bit this meeting. So maybe you'll first give us some inspiration for the question or some sharing, just to help people to catch this mood on this Saturday midday.
Well, I think the introduction that Narayani put for today's gathering probably would do the job, that for almost 30 years we are serving closely to Srila Guru Maharaj and to Srila Gurudev, means Srila Sridhar Maharaj and to Srila Govinda Maharaj, and in a close capacity, basically where their assistant, well, the secretary for Western affairs. This is our duty was there. Not so much the secretary for India, but Gurudev used to keep the Western world, the Western correspondence and the Western things a little separate from the Indian world. And we saw presently there was a reason why, different mentality, different need, if you like. So we were closely, I was closely involved with Srila Gurudev, with Srila Guru Maharaj firstly, then Srila Gurudev throughout these years. And I cannot forget those years. I cannot forget that time. And actually, we are sometimes feeling we can leave this world from that aspect. But I also have another feeling that they're expecting us to continue to try to share their understanding, their guidance, their presentation, because we saw that life, their life, and why they were so generous to us, so that we can be generous to others. So I think that introduction that perhaps Narayani wrote is the way to begin. So we have Madhusudan Maharaj, please tell me something, okay? You're meant to be asking the questions. I'm not sitting here making a monologue of questions as such.
Yes, dear devotees, and you can as well write your question in the chat in any language. I will help to translate from Russian or Ukrainian, and Priya and Anna will translate it into also Russian. So,
and Narayani's English is improving. She's asking you to help, but her English is getting better and better.
and I'm sure that many of us will be happy, to hear a little bit about your parikrama on the Gurudev's places in Italy.
Well, actually, I think we summed it up quite nicely the other day when the devotees were talking about the parikrama. And I mean, really, I hope everyone was very happy. They're being very polite if they weren't, because they put on a very good impression of being happy. So if they weren't happy, they're eligible for the Hollywood Actors Award or something. But the devotees all seemed very happy. And myself, then I can say that it also just felt most nourishing, but we summed it up by saying how every book we read, we think it is the best book. Every maybe prashadam meal we take, we think it's the best prashadam. But every parikrama, we think it's the best parikrama. And of course, there are different types of parikrama, and in a meal, you can't compare different kinds of cheese, make that comparison with different kinds of sweets, for instance. Cheeses are cheeses, sweets are sweets. So, amongst the cheeses, so many kind of special cheese made of this, that, and the other. Then they're so, they stand out of sweets, so many special milk sweets, they stand out. Or if you're not taking milk, special sweets do stand out. So there are different kinds of parikrama, and they have a different department. To go around Navadip is quite different than going around Govardhan. I know we should be able to say, oh no, they're the same. But there is a difference between the two. One is Navadip, one is Govardhan, the focus of Krishna Leela, the focus of Mahaprabhu's Leela. Then Jagannath Puri is also different again, with the very immediate presence of the holy places, like the exact stones, etc., where the Supreme Lord, in his most magnanimous manifestation of Mahaprabhu, where he directly was. So again, it's different. You can't compare a parikrama of Vrindavan, a parikrama of Navadip and the parikrama of Puri. They're not the same, even though, okay, we can say, no, they're the same. Okay, same but different. So also you can't compare doing South India parikrama with doing the parikrama to Badrik Ashram, to the Himalayas, to Muktinath, etc. They're quite different. So we did here some parikrama, some pilgrimage to the holy places connected with Srila Gurudev. And afterwards, we also found out that we didn't visit everywhere he went, even though I asked before, oh, tell me other places. But now, after going on parikrama, we've got more places to go to. So for those who are feeling healthy and like to go on parikrama, we've got some additional places to fill in on a future occasion, not immediately. So in this way, we had the opportunity right here on our doorstep, literally, and inside the door and outside the door, to visit places of Srila Gurudev's pastimes, where he went, what he did, etc., where he stayed, where they had the festival. Of course, this was the destination was Montebarro, which was a place where every devotee who went there back in 2000 or 2001, that time, or 2002, I don't fully recall the year, but at that early 2000s, I mean, everybody who went, they certainly at that time were full of joy to be there. And it was a place of great Sankirtan. So, as I say, this recent pilgrimage that we made, which actually was 5 days beginning to end, because a group of us did walk back. And it wasn't the plan, but because the kiosk was open, it's a busy weekend. It was the Easter weekend, so very busy here in the ashram. So we didn't want to take manpower, seva power from the ashram. So it wasn't planned that we would be away for that weekend. Rather, we'll come back and then participate here. But with the permission of the pillars of the ashram here, and with quite a lot not wanting to walk much more after the first 4 days, then we had volunteers to go back to the temple, the ashram, while we were a group left who we were able to get an extension by the kindness. They were very kind to us. At the hostel, means the Montebaro place, we were able to get an extension to stay there for 1 more night, and then we came the next day. So we walked back, so it made it a 5-day pilgrimage for some of us, a 4-day pilgrimage for others, which may not sound long, but these pilgrimages, they tend to be things which will stay within our memory all our lives. And we can go one by one through so many pilgrimages in India. And even though we may be, in the temple, in an ashram, we may be doing many things in our life, which is all Krishna-centered, hopefully all Krishna-centered, there are still some outstanding times which stay in one's memory. So literally holy days, being in a different environment with different people and doing something the same, Krishna conscious, but different, the mood of the pilgrimage and parikrama. So this last parikrama, best parikrama, best pilgrimage ever. We can put it in that category, along with others, best pilgrimage ever. And already devotees are searching, having seen what we did here. Devotees are searching around in other countries. Oh, we can do that in our country, which is good, because it's everything in Krishna consciousness is not for us. We do want to have an excuse for devotees to come together, but also we do want to help devotees be encouraged in devotional service and in their own communities, the different countries of the world, to find these excuses, and very good excuse, to visit the holy places connected with Srila Gurudev and Srila Prabhupada. And of course, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, did not travel abroad, but in India, we visited many of the places where he went to, and where he established the Padapit on behalf of Srila Saraswati Thakur. And of course, going to the appearance place of Srila Guru Maharaj, the appearance place of Srila Gurudev, and the appearance place of Srila Prabhupada, that I thought I had been to. And then recently, somebody said, no, he grew up in the place that I had visited in Calcutta. Anyway, I need to check about Srila Prabhupada's appearance place. But many years ago, I was taken by older devotees who knew to Srila Prabhupada's place where he grew up, at least in his young days. But I thought that's where he was born. But then somebody told me, no, he was born in Tollygunge, which is a different area than where we were when we visited the place he grew up. So anyway, yes, places connected with our masters, places connected, of course, in India, so many places connected with Mahaprabhu's pastimes and the Panchatattva. So many places connected with Nityananda, with Advaita Acharya, Gadadhar Pandit, with all, but also with the great devotees, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in our recent time. And by the way, in Chaitanya Bhagavat, it is recorded in the Adikanda, yes, it must be the Adikanda. It's recorded in the Adikanda that Nityananda, he went on pilgrimage when he came from Ekachakra, from being begged for by a sannyasi that some say was Madhavendra Puri, and others say, well, may or may not have been, but he met up with Madhavendra Puri while traveling. So he was begged for, as it alms, by a sannyasi, and then Harai Pandit, his father, heartbrokenly had to follow the wish of the saintly person, gave his son, and his son being Nityananda. Then Nityananda Prabhu went on parikrama with that sannyasi, and if it was not Madhavendra Puri, and presently with Madhavendra Puri. And then in Chaitanya Bhagavat, it's recorded, he went on parikrama, on pilgrimage to the pilgrimage places. For how long? Not for 4 days or 5 days. He went for 20 years on pilgrimage, which is astounding. And Sri Nityananda Prabhu, he traveled to all these places to sanctify them. He went to sanctify the holy places, and wherever he went, the descriptions there of how he was in ecstasy, going to the birthplace of Krishna, in ecstasy, birthplace of Ramachandra. And it mentions some persons or some places he went to. One place he visited, which is a big question mark. Well, lots of things are question marks. We don't know the answer. But it mentions in Chaitanya Bhagavat a Chandala's village, a place where a Chandala used to stay. So it was connected with this Chandala. But he must have been a great Vaishnava. But Chandala means low in the caste system, the taking birth caste system, which unfortunately has been very strong in India, and which Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he broke that hereditary caste system identification because it was being totally misused. But there was a Chandala, so from lower caste section, who lived in a particular place. Nityananda visited that place on pilgrimage, and he fell unconscious in ecstasy for 3 days. It's recorded there in Chaitanya Bhagavat. So Nityananda went on parikrama and pilgrimage for 20 years. Well, every now and again we go for 4 days, 5 days, and for 10 days, for longer sometimes. But this way, in our lives, we get to go to visit some of these places. But the main places for us, once we have come to the lotus feet of Gurudev and Guru Maharaj, we really have no desire to go anywhere else when they are present except at their lotus feet and in service. And after their disappearance, then we only want to be at their feet and in service. And it is in such a way that we continue to do parikramas in service to try to give nourishment for the devotees, introduce devotees to each other. They can meet and get to know devotees of different places, and every devotee is different. We can gain some devotion from all devotees. And this way, the parikramas continue in such service. So you asked me to say something about that recent pilgrimage parikrama here from Vila Govinda and back to Vila Govinda. And we can say, yes, best parikrama ever. But in the category, in a new category, because we haven't very much done like this in the West, though we always want to go, but usually we're driven or we walk. If it's Monte Vecchio, which is 1 hour, well, less than 1 hour away, depending how fit you are, the top of the hill, then, if it's a short way, yes, we'll walk. But mostly we end up, when we visit different countries, the different temples, the devotees, they drive us to this place and that place. But very happily, we've gone to so many places connected with Srila Gurudev's preaching, and we've seen where he gave his talk, where he did this, where he did that. And this is part of this parikrama, of course, but in different countries, we go in the big cities. The big cities, we've gone to the hall where Gurudev gave a talk, etc. And it's just so happy to visit these places.
Well, Kamala Sundari yesterday said that it was mind-blowing. She didn't have like any expectation and got overcome with all these, emotions. So I'm sure it was really a very happy time. And our audience are becoming a little more active. Rasananda from Moscow and Yulia Chimykhina are giving their dandavats, and they're saying that they are happy and glad to see us, and I think you in particular. And also we have one question from Narayani, but I think it also refers to everyone, like how to overcome positive attachment, like addiction, for example, and should we really or not overcome, like, for example, from relatives or some close people or some pets, or these like good attachment are coming from Guru and the Lord. So how should we behave in these situations when we are too attached to some relatives?
Well, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Chaitanya Charitamrita is described as the best son of a mother, or like the best son. In other words, he gave full honor to his mother and always gave this credit to her that he's looking up to her always. And he stayed in Jagannath Puri after receiving sannyas by the request of his mother. Of course, with the Lord, it is all Leela. But this way we see, there is attachment. And we can say in every family there is attachment. And when he got news that his wife, his first wife, had died, Lakshmi Priya, when he came back from, Lakshmi Priya, yes. When Mahaprabhu was in East Bengal, now Bangladesh, then in separation, she left her body. And when he came back, Nimai Sundar came back from East Bengal, then he showed grief at the disappearance of his wife. And he showed grief at the disappearance of his father when Jagannath Mishra passed away. And in this way, Mahaprabhu showed, it's described in Chaitanya Charitamrita, he showed, as a human would do, as we would do, the grief with the passing away of the dear ones. But that it's not that is the end of life. Then you have to overcome the grief and continue. And Mahaprabhu is coming as the ideal acharya. So he's showing that we're not heartless. So when there is the grief in the family, when there is grief anywhere, then we will have a heart. But we must get over that in due course. It is only natural to get that we must recover, stand on our feet again and continue. And everybody, sorry about this, everyone's lost their dear ones. And if you haven't, well, sorry to say, you're going to lose one day, because it's the nature of this world. And we are not heartless. And so this world, it is very sad when our dear parents, when we are children, we got those little hamsters and whatever they are, keeping them as pets. When they die, naturally the child is very disturbed. Excuse me. The child is very unhappy, and everybody's got memories of losing some pets. Everyone's got memories of losing their close family members, distant family members, and we may not have so much, emotion. But when it's a wife or when it's a husband, when it's a mother, a father, a child, then this can be very heartbreaking. But we must then pull ourselves together, as it were, and with the help of Bhagavad Gita, with the help of our friends, we'll also see that, yes, but the world goes on. This is the world where we live in, and everybody goes through this. It is not only, oh, me, it's happened to me. I lost my best friend, I lost my mother, I lost my father, I lost my pet. We must understand this is happening everywhere, and this is why we need a permanent shelter. And this is Krishna. And this is actually the Vaishnavas, because the Vaishnavas live on through their instruction. But losing our gurus, that was extremely, you can say we're not expecting anything. We're not looking into the future and thinking, oh, I'll handle it well or something. But for so many, that was disastrous. When Srila Guru Maharaj disappeared from the world, even though you could say, oh, it's expected. He was 90-something years old and been in poor health, but still a tragedy of the heart. But we must continue. And when Srila Gurudev left the world, tragedy of the heart, no doubt. But we must continue. So when that big tragedy comes and the smaller losses and gains of the world, then we try to put into perspective and think, yes, it's the world we live in. But our connection above to the gurus and to the pure devotees, we will try to maintain that in the real way, because they are not temporary like us. They're not going into other species of life. And so, this, that, and the other, they're already established in the upper plane. But this world, it's a world full of pain, physical pain and emotional pain, heart pain. And we see how Srila Guru Maharaj and Gurudev use these examples of the heart pain when we're separated from someone we love, when through death, through whatever it may be, these separations come about. Then this separation pain, then they are giving this as an example of the intensity. In this world, we can be overcome in intensity with such things. But the real separation is the separation from the Lord, the separation from the Lord's family. And when Ramananda Roy was asked by Mahaprabhu in their dialogue in chapter 8 of the Madhya Leela of Chaitanya Charitamrita, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was asked, when Ramananda Roy was asked by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what is the most painful thing? He was asked just some one-line questions and one-line answers. And Ramananda Roy said, I can think of nothing more painful than separation from devotees. Not to have the association of devotees. So any separations we feel in this world, we must transfer that and think about the eternal world, not this world of samsara, where body by body by body by body, we're going on due to our attachment to the body and the things of the body here, ourselves.
Yeah. Thank you, Maharaj. I
But with,
encourage
but with
audience.
heart. Yeah, but with heart. It's not heartless. We are not the body. But with heart, give some condolences, some consolation, and continue.
And I encourage our audience to ask a question, because you really now have the unique possibility to ask one of the best guardian of the divine knowledge, Srila Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudan Maharaj, personally. And while devotees are thinking, I also wanted like to ask a little more about this overcoming of a tragedy situation, because speaking about devotees, they have like this basis foundation here when something happened, and speaking about like mundane people, usual people, when tragedy comes, I'm not sure that it's like the right situation to tell them about you are not the body, about something that reality is your friend. It's not appropriate. So maybe you will give some advice how to act in these situations, because like this week was the one more like severe attack on Ukrainian people, and I keep thinking about how to help them to overcome this grief and tragedy with words.
Well, when they are devotees, then we will take the words of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, we'll take the words of Srila Narottam Das Thakur. The kirtans are full of advices for us to see how to see the world in a healthy way. And one of them is Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's, one of the songs he composed, the kirtans he composed, I believe, in the section of the Shikshastakam, explaining the Shikshastakam verses. And there's a verse says, let my attachment for all these material things in this world, let me transfer that attachment to you. Let me have attachment to you, my Lord, as now I'm attached to the things of this material world. So when we also are finding ourselves with attachment here, then we also get guidance from, of course, the previous acharyas, but in the songs we will also find some relief that, yes, I really have to transfer this attachment upwards. And I mean, there are some very, sad, I mean, there's some facts in the world which are actually very sad. But it's a reality of this world, of how many people die every day without a war, without COVID, without this, without that. And one a devotee sent me some statistics from the BBC, not the BBBC, but the actual British Broadcasting Corporation, who supposedly do their research very well. And I don't have the number exactly in my hand, but if any good mathematicians are out there, Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu and others, then the statistics are that on average in India, every 3 minutes, day and night, 365 days a year, somebody dies in a road accident. Every 3 minutes. And if I did turn on the phone and look and see, I could tell you the statistic, what the total is. But anyway, it's a lot of people every year. And sometimes I've quoted also from the World Health Organization from a few years ago now, when I did used to look at some random things. But then, I don't know whether it got better or worse, but it was something like 3,400 people die around the world every day on the roads. That's the equivalent of, well, the loss of car accidents, isn't it? So, but if 2 airplanes crashed in a week, that would be maybe 700 people in a week, and the whole world will be looking at, 2 airplanes crashed, 700 people died. But every day, 3,400 people die on the road. So people are being bereaved at every moment. And when it's war, then of course it comes into the notice very much more. And I know it doesn't help the hearts of those who are in the war and have just, untimely had their family killed or mutilated. But it's a reminder that the world we live in is not our home. And so there is no shelter here. And as also devotees and refugees find, then we think, oh, I'll get shelter in another country, another place, this, that, and the other. But there is no shelter in this world. There's no shelter in this universe, as Durvasa Muni found out. He can travel to all the planets. And finally, he came to Lord Vishnu. After everything else, he came to Lord Vishnu. Oh, dear Lord, please, you save me. And then, because he'd made an offense to the devotee, Lord Vishnu himself said, no, I can't give you shelter because you've offended my devotee. Only you will get shelter if you go back to that devotee and pray for their forgiveness. And devotees, by their nature, they are forgiving, so I'm sure you'll be successful. So that emphasizes that the Lord is our shelter, but through the devotees, and how important it is to have the shelter of devotees. So if that, and that's all helpful, I hope, in the case of discussing with devotees about, the tragedies of war that take place and how when it's affecting the family, then may be helpful for the devotees, but first must be with some heart condolences for the separation, for the terrible things that take place. But then some helping us to recover afterwards, then all of these reminders that, yes, we have to look up, not look down to this world. And for the non-devotees, how to give solace. It is very difficult. Learn about God somehow or another. Everything is coming to push us to know that there is a Lord through all of this. Take shelter there. We're all temporary in this world. Take shelter there.
Can prasadam be helpful in this situation?
Yes. If they have respect, try to give them some respect for the sanctified food, at least that. In a church or in any institute, there's going to be some idea of sanctified food, purified, blessed food. And you can give them some idea, this food is blessed.
Thank you so much.
The other part is that, of course, just as I said just now about every day 3,400 people die on the road, and I didn't continue looking up to find out what that statistic was for India on a yearly basis. Oh yeah, so in India, the Indian roads claimed over 172,000 lives in 2023. There's statistics from 2023. And then the World Health Organization saying 3,400 people die every day on the roads around the world. But then in the background, behind that is, so for every person that dies on the road, how many are injured substantially? And those injuries, I know people, and just now, this last week, we were with a devotee who's got injury from when they were a teenager in an accident. And they're not any longer a teenager, but still have pain from that same injury from when they were a teenager. So how many people's lives have been drastically affected? If 3,400 die every day, what's the ratio of those who are injured? 10 to 1? We don't know. But you see, this world without war is a place of suffering. And with war, we get other suffering coming. And then with the plague and all these things which happen. Plague, famine.
Thank you, Maharaj. Your words are really very, very calming for our souls.
Wow.
And maybe someone has more questions. They shouldn't be like so sad and all about tragedy. You can ask.
I'm not sure my words are calming, but because it is facing reality. But we must add in here this very point that Srila Guru Maharaj stresses right at the beginning of the very first book from our temple in English in the Western world. That is that we can prove that those who are truly saintly, that this world is an abode of happiness and joy. The creation is meant for happiness and joy. And we will give that. And this is what Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Gurudev, and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, what Mahaprabhu gave. The ticket to eternal joy, beauty, happiness, love, where you won't be betrayed. You won't suddenly turn around and find the loss of your beloved, etc. Or in those cases, of course, there are some equivalence, but in an absolutely pure way. And it's all connected with love of God, love of Krishna, love of his devotees. So we will make that emphasis that not just to be calculative about, oh, it's a miserable world anyway, but the positive. And that's why people want liberation. Those who have understood it's a miserable world and action causes reaction, which binds us in this world, then what is liberation? What is mukti that is so sought after, so searched for? That, oh, we go into a trance where, oh, I'm not attached to this world any longer. It's such a place of trouble. Now I stop all karma, good or bad. But it is an artificial point that just to stop everything and to float in an ocean of wonderful life. Because life means that we are living, we're active. So the devotional life to the Lord. And then there's the Lord of Narayan, Lord Narayan, great opulence and majesty. There's Ramachandra, there's Krishna in different aspects, and then Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan. So this Krishna of Goloka Vrindavan, Adi Purusham, the original Lord Govinda, it is he who Srila Guru Maharaj Gurudev and Mahaprabhu Nityananda, it is he who we are being connected with. And that is the land of love, beauty, and charm. They are giving tickets and visas to that land. We have to give our attention there.
And we have a question from Gunali from St. Petersburg that actually continues our topic. So she said, Dandavat Maharaj, Dandavat all the devotees, how to believe that we really, that God is really needing us for obtaining this motivation to go to the Lord. Because they say that actually the Lord is not very interested in new devotees.
Who say he's not interested in new devotees? Mahaprabhu, he's interested in the most fallen. And he wants them to be a new devotee. So I think the Lord is interested in new devotees. But anyhow, we'll take our they as being those who have got the clarity of the message of Guru and Gauranga. And many things can be said in this world by them, and they do this, and the scientists, and this, that, and the other. But the pure-hearted, generous agents from the upper world, headed by the head of all agents, means Gauranga, Nitayan Gauranga, then they have come here and shown their great attention for all. And the more fallen, maybe the more particular interest. Look at Jagai and Madai. They drew. Now, not that everyone's got to follow the example of Jagai and Madai, thinking, okay, I'm going to be the worst person in the world. If you do that, you probably just end up in the jail and suffer for the next 30 years. But we've got this example of Jagai and Madai, the most fallen, and then they are recruited and given special attention by Nitai and hence by Mahaprabhu. But in this world, we've seen Gurudev give special attention to devotees who are in difficulty, who can't leave some bad habits somehow, won't leave their bad habits. Their bad habits, if they leave, they will die. This kind of devotee we've got. We've had, some of them have died, by the way, because bad habits, sorry, they're just not going to be helpful for a life. Not that we're trying to live here for a long time, but still devotees with some habits that became so entrusted that you can only go to real rehab to get out of them. And even then, I mean, very much determination and struggle is needed. Gurudev has given particular attention to that kind of person. And it's the grace of Guru which is all important. So Krishna wants us to go home, and he's proved it through Mahaprabhu. He's proved it through our gurus. Srila Prabhupada coming to the West, and with absolute newcomers who knew nothing before, he gave nourishment, attention, and with absolute newcomers, he made a worldwide mission by them representing him, distributing the books of Srila Prabhupada, the books of Guru Maharaj, the books of Gurudev. They've got the very substance of their teaching. And Srila Prabhupada knew that the devotees, they may say all sorts of things when they meet people, but if the people get a book, then they're going to get the facts right, as it were, from the book. And that's Srila Prabhupada's humility also, but he knows that he's on a mission from Srila Saraswati Thakur. It's not his capacity. So we'll try our best to connect everyone with that original source of our Master's pure teaching and presentation, and know from there that the Lord wants us to go home, and not only wants us to go home, but as his most magnanimous manifestation, he came as Nitai and Gauranga, and Gauranga has spotlighted and shown the Maha Mantra for this age. Everybody, if you've got any faith in my words, Mahaprabhu is more or less saying like this. If you have any faith in me, in my words, take this Maha Mantra, chant it constantly, and tell others to chant it. So this way, they've come with the greatest medicine for the fallen souls and distributed that for everybody. Just that little price, some faith. So we must try to help non-faithful to have faith, because really it's very foolish if somebody says, oh, I am God, I am this. Come on, it's just foolish. You don't know, nobody knows what's happening in the next room. What to speak of make planets float in the sky and, yes, you're God. But so in a caring way, we want to try to give people faith that really there is God, and actually, you are not God, because where are you going to be when you die? You can say to that person who is saying that they're God. So we want to try to give faith, but in an affectionate way. You have to give some honor to the person, that, oh, so got some idea about spiritual life, the continuation of life, and then try to give some faith that there is the Lord, and then there are the Lord's holy names, and then chant those holy names, and especially Gauranga and Nityananda. They have come to give us this Maha Mantra.
Thank you so much. And maybe would you be so kind to give some like practical advices to Gunali, how to increase our, and to all of us, how to increase our motivation to go back to our real home, like maybe some everyday life hacks.
Okay, I haven't done this myself, so I'm not sure. We're always meant to give advice to people that you do yourself, right? But I haven't done this myself, but for some reason it comes in my mind just now with this news. You're giving news of some attack in Ukraine, but I could think it could be possible you will increase your faith if one day in the year you get one newspaper and read it from cover to cover. Then you probably think, oh, that's the news of this world. I think I'd better get a newspaper from the upper world and read that one instead, because this world's newspaper is going to just be showing you it's not your home. But there's another newspaper which can show you where is your home. And that's the newspaper we read every day. And we don't want to read the newspaper about war, disease, robbery, rape, violence, all these things that take place, at least which are beautifully searched out and very expertly searched out and reported. Because in most places that we go, thankfully, we see not all these things taking place. We see them only when some news happens, or this happened, half a mile away last week or something like that. But in general, we see that people are quite human to each other. But we want humanness to bring us to godliness. So to have moral standards and to do good for others, always it is good in this world. But that must be not the very end. That is a means to get some piety, some cleaner thinking, and really our morality, our selflessness, our doing good for others must be connected to the Lord. Otherwise, it is not really good. Just to give people morphine for removing pain doesn't mend a broken leg. When the morphine wears off, broken leg's still there. So Mahaprabhu is coming to give us the cause of our pain, to remove that. And the cause of that is our forgetfulness of the Lord, not putting him at the center with love. And how to put him in the center with love? Centered on chanting the holy name of the Lord. So maybe it will increase faith to read the newspaper one day in a year. If your faith is failing again after a year, I'm not sure if you want to read one day again. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Gurudev. Gunali, we will be happy if, we get this feedback. She's saying, thank you very much, dear Maharaj, for the answer. So.
And Gunal is in St. Petersburg. She's safe. She's there, safe in a sense. She's with the devotees. She serves in the temple. And so the sadhu sangha, to associate with the devotees, serve with the devotees, and not take it for granted as well. This is really the safety where we'll get enthusiasm. And of course, when we live with devotees and near devotees, we must be careful not to make offense to them or consider the devotees as ordinary. Each temple, we are told by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev, Srila Guru Maharaj, wherever there is the glorification of the Lord taking place, that is a holy place. And in a holy place, we must have full regard for the residents and for those who visit, and not to think them ordinary. None of you here are ordinary, because you've got this extra quality which the general population does not have. And that is the actual sensible thinking, faith in the Lord as directed by our masters. And you all have appreciation for our masters and how they are directing us, giving us guidance to lead our life. So you are all special people. The people who live in the temples are special. And we must consider that who's visiting, that they are special, because out of millions of people in St. Petersburg, millions of people in Moscow, millions of people in any country, how many come to the temple, and come to the temple especially with some inquiry, some inquisitiveness? Oh, what do they do here? What can I learn? Then this is very rare. And we must consider everybody who comes before us comes into the temple, into the ashram, to be special. The Krishnas sent them, so we should do something good for them. And what does Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur say? He says that Bolo Krishna, so chant Krishna, bhaja Krishna, worship Krishna, and koro Krishna shiksha. Do Krishna teaching. Tell others about Krishna. So we ourselves should chant the name of Krishna, worship the Lord, worship Krishna, and tell others about him. And when we are engaged in such an activity, we know we've got the backing of the Lord, and this will be helpful. But just like we started today with the question, oh, tell us something about the recent pilgrimage we did. But also we can end on also the theme that there are many things on a pilgrimage when you're walking a long distance, going for a purpose. There are many things that are analogous, like an analogy to life. And so when we are in devotional life, we also have to keep on going and face difficulties that may come, the unexpected. And so we had to face unexpected things when we were walking. On our last day, we came across a big tree that had been struck by lightning, and it had split into three and completely on three giant branches in all directions. It covered the path. So it didn't happen in front of us, but it had happened probably the night before, because there was a thunderstorm and there'd been no sawing. Nobody's been there to cut it up. And I was thinking, how did it happen? Because these three big branches, big branches, the main branches of a big tree, they're all in all directions. And then one of the devotees noticed, look, there are burn marks down the middle where it's split. That it must, and then we can think, okay, speculation maybe, but with some good reason, because there were strong burn marks. So it must, we think, have been hit by lightning. And then it blocked the path in every direction. So we had to cross that. But this is at the top, not the top, very top, it is on the ridge that we were following. There's not any question of going back. It's only a question of going forward. So anyway, an analogy for our journey of life. We don't have any option to go back. We must always go forward, face things, and even the legs are tired, you're thirsty, you're hungry, whatever, it's raining. Yes, we also got rain. Whatever it may be, we go on and go on happily. And actually, we did our Zoom to Latvia last week in the rain. In the rain, with raincoats, umbrellas, everything. We found a place to sit. So, everything goes on happily, and we were happy. And the devotees, I think, were also happy that they were very happy we were in the rain. Anyway, so our journey of life in Krishna consciousness, and please get to know, try to know Srila Guru Maharaj and Srila Gurudev, and get to know them through their books, through seeing their audio and hearing their audio, seeing the video, seeing their mannerism, even if you don't know the language, so that you can get some idea of their nature. They are affectionately giving us guidance with all heart, with all consideration for our benefit. And so we must do our best to live up to what they expect from us and try our best.
Thank you so much, Gurudev. And we have also like Rasananda from Moscow given the information that they are living in Podmoskovia, Povarova. And also he's very grateful for your lections, Maharaj. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
We actually are at the end of our Zoom, so maybe someone has this last brave and brief question. No, everybody is analyzing, the the data and the information they've got, I think, during this hour.
Nadia Sundari looks like she's in the Himalayas with rocks behind her and a glacier behind her head on the left as we're looking at her. Is this a backdrop or is it actually where you live? It's where you live. Okay. It's a thumbnail, so I don't see the whole picture. But it does look like you left Vila Govinda and landed up in the Himalayas somewhere. Okay. On this note about the Himalayas, pilgrimages past and future, I think someone will make the pilgrimages in the future. But anyway, a different department of pilgrimage. But anyway, on this journey of life, under the guidance of Srila Gurudev, Srila Guru Maharaj, in particular Srila Gurudev, and in particular Srila Guru Maharaj, in particular Srila Prabhupada, we cannot miss any of these three. It is, they have given us Krishna consciousness, and we must go under their guidance, and with their affection, we will naturally have their affection if we try to do what they guide us. If we don't try to do, then yes, in the future, but it can be a long time. But if we really are sincere, just sincerely want to be the participating students of our masters, then we know that they will quickly give their grace and all will be good.
And at the end, we have this gift from Shyama Priya. She's in Vila Govinda now, and this is like deity's darshan. Very beautiful.
Really? Oh, okay. You see, I'm seeing the thumbnails, so I should look at it in another way, right?
I tried to make it like pinned. I don't know if it's for everybody or just for me.
Oh, now it's there. Spotlighted. Jai Shishi. Okay, well, I don't know if you can hear because Zoom does filter out sounds, but the church bells are ringing here also. So it's the middle of the day or gone the middle of the day here in Villa Govinda, Italy. And our kiosk is open and it's a sunny day. Today is a sunny day. So Jai Saparika Shri Guru Gauranga Gandhavika Gopinath Ju Ki Jai, Jai Shri Giriraj Balagopal Ju Ki Jai, Jai Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Sunda Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Jai Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Rokhok Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai, Jai Shri Rupanuga Guru Vaga Ki Jai, Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Shri Navadeep Dham Ki Jai, Navadeep Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat of Srila Guru Maharaj and Srila Gurudev Ki Jai, and Jai Shri Gangamayi Ki Jai, Jamunamayi Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Purushottam Dham Ki Jai. We can make many jais as we do parikrama of each of these places also, no doubt. And Jai Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Acharya Vrinda Ki Jai. All the assembled devotees Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol.
Jai Srila Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudan Maharaj Ki Jai.
Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. And best wishes to one and all. have a successful Seva life. We say sometimes Seva week, but have a successful Seva life and try to put into practice today anything which we can think, yes, I'm not doing perfectly this or that. We try better. If we try better every day, 1%, after 100 days, we'll be 100%. Work out that mathematics. I know it's faulty, but it's going in the right direction. Well done for your translation, Priyanana Devirasi. Excuse my poor examples and complicated English. I try to speak simply. Okay, well done to each of you. Good to see each of you. Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, always thinking of you. I mean, really, with concern. Every devotee, Juvati Devidasi, we hear your glories. You're here with us. So happily seeing you. And each of you, one by one by one by one. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Nitai Gaura Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Hari Bol. Thank you so much, Maharaj and all the devotees. This Zoom will be also on YouTube channel as a recorded version, so join us also in any way.
Jai. Ashchi, I am coming.